Hi, welcome to Nourishing Body and Soul, the podcast. Get ready to revitalize your mind, body, and soul. We're here to inspire women who are looking to break free from old patterns and ideas to create a life of increased confidence and improved health. Say goodbye to limiting beliefs and hello to new possibilities. So kick back, get ready to have some fun, and let's dive in. We'll uncover tools and insights that can help you build a life that's truly nourishing, body and soul. Hi, I'm Tracy.
I'm Victoria.
And we're glad you're here with us on the podcast today.
Yes.
We've been talking a lot about making changes, which, kind of what we do around here.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to talk today about transformation and how to not just make it happen, but how to make it stick.
Transformational
changes.
Yes. Although I guess that's redundant. If you're transforming,
we're not changing. We're just going to transform.
Yeah, we're just going to transform.
Except for there are changes that are not transformational changes. So
yes, there are changes. Like I'm going to change the way I do my hair, and that's not going to transform anything.
I might, but
I'm going to
change my socks. And then
I'm going to change my socks. Yeah, but transforming implies that there is change afoot.
Fundamental
changes afoot,
and lasting changes. So one of my favorite quotes of all time was by Albert Camus. In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. A friend of mine in college gave me this quote. She didn't know who said it, so I didn't know who said it for decades. Finally found out. I was very happy when I did. But just that idea that whatever winter we may feel like we're in, within us, we can have that invincible summer.
Mm-hmm. That's just a beautiful visual too.
Yes.
Because snow swirling, it's nice to know there's something inside that's warm and peachy.
Yes. So, okay. Little pop quiz. There's no really wrong answer, but when you talk about transformation, what is like one of the biggest, most common used analogies in the insect world?
Okay. It's not because I was going to say a tadpole to a frog.
Oh, that's a good one too. That is a common one.
A cricket to something. No. Well, crickets start out not cricket-like. They're just a boring cricket shape. All right. Butterfly. butterfly.
Yes, a butterfly. So when we talk about changing from a butterfly or from a caterpillar to a butterfly, it's such a common thing. It's always like, oh, you start out with this little caterpillar and then you go in your little cocoon and there's a time of change and then you emerge this beautiful butterfly.
Did your classroom ever have one of that, like in elementary school?
Probably. My grandson just had some.
Oh, did it work?
One or two of them did. Yeah.
That must have been super exciting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fun. I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing though. First of all, not all caterpillars,
not all caterpillars
become butterflies.
They become moths.
No, some of them just remain caterpillars.
Really? Just caterpillars?
Yeah, that's what they are. They're a caterpillar and they stay a caterpillar. But here's the thing, and it's kind of disgusting, but it's also so informative. Caterpillars that do become butterflies. Are you aware of what happens in that cocoon other than they change from caterpillar to a butterfly?
No.
They literally liquefy. Like it is a complete change.
And then out of that liquid they build.
They completely, it's just.
So if you were to pierce one, which would be an evil thing to do, but if you were like, liquid's just going to come out.
Yeah, just goo. And if you get it right at that point. But then, and so it's like, if we think about that, it doesn't sound so fun to become a butterfly.
No. No.
It's like, oh, maybe not. But I think it just speaks really well to that transformation is not always pretty. It's not always fun.
Mhm.
Sometimes we can literally feel like we're turning into a massive goo. And when we feel like we're like that, and our life is like that, it's not easy to go, oh, this is awesome because I'm becoming a butterfly.
Or it's kind of hard also to see anything beyond the goo.
Yeah.
You're like, this is it. I'm goo.
Yeah.
We're done.
I'm good. And I used to be a cute little fuzzy caterpillar crawling
Mhm.
around. That was a good
I had
life.
a book after me, a hungry one.
Yeah, it's like that was a good life. And now look where I am. I'm just goo.
Yes,
But
I can relate.
I think most of us can, if
Mhm.
not all of us, most of us can. There are just times where we just feel like we're just goo. And it's easy at that time to wonder, it's like, what did I ever do to get myself into this situation? How did I end up here?
Mhm.
How? What?
In a cocoon, shut off from the world.
Mhm.
Here I am.
Although for
All by
introverts,
myself.
the shut off from the world doesn't sound like such a bad thing, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But also,
yeah,
yeah, isolation isn't a good,
yeah,
isolation and goo. That just seems
yeah,
like a bad combo.
yeah. So, but then it turns into this butterfly.
Mhm.
And then we, normally when we think of that, we just think, oh, and then they come out of the cocoon and there's a beautiful butterfly and then phew, off into the world, flying away when they used to just be
Yes.
crawling on the ground.
Mhm. Lighting on flowers,
Yes.
syncing up, having fun,
Yeah.
partying it up.
But when they first come out of the cocoon,
Mhm.
having come from goo, their wings are wet and they can't fly.
Yeah.
It's a very, very vulnerable time before their wings dry out.
Mhm.
And again, thinking about that in relation to when we transform, before we transform, we can come from this place of feeling like we're just a massive goo, and how did we get here, and what is happening? And then maybe we can start recognizing that, oh wait, no, new things are happening. Okay. When we can feel ourselves starting to turn into that butterfly, but we're still trapped in the cocoon.
Mhm.
And then when the cocoon finally falls away, it's not just like, ta-da, here we
Yeah.
are, world. There's this really vulnerable time. And it's the same thing is true when we're making changes in our life, when we're really making transformations. There's no guarantee
Mhm.
that once we pop out of that cocoon.
Yeah, that's what you
we're just gonna
think. You
take
think
flight.
like, okay, I went through these trials, I went through all of this, and now here I am, and I still can't fly. I still can't do the things I'm supposed to be doing like this. What up with this and how long? Yeah.
But then that's where, keeping that, and
That
just,
patience.
that patience and understanding that, because this isn't the end.
Mm.
This isn't the end of this change. And I think it's really easy to think that it is.
Mhm.
Once we read our Atomic Habits book and we get all the right habits in place
Mhm.
to do what we want to do,
Mhm.
then we should just be the butterfly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
two, that thinking about it like that really, it helps to keep in mind that if we look back at some of the most profound changes that have come about in our lives, if we look at the steps prior to that, right before our lives, we realize that those are some of the most difficult, gooey times of our life. And that often, I have said so many times, it's like, there are experiences I've had, I would not wish them on anybody. I would not want to go back to them for anything. But I also would not trade what I learned and what I became because of them.
Mhm.
And so it's like, oh, going through the goo.
Yeah.
And just
That's a good visual, going through the goo. I mean, it's not a happy one, but and sticky. Yeah.
right. But yeah. And that remembering that I really, there was a time when we were, my husband had just started his business. It hadn't been going for very long. And he had a truck that had tools in it. And that was his way to earn money. That was what enabled him to support the family.
Yeah.
And that truck was stolen. And the insurance wasn't going to cover. The only reason that they covered some of the tools, like, well, we'll cover the truck was covered, but not the tools. It's like, well, the truck would get in there, but the tools enabled, and so
yeah.
just and we were broke. This was not a nice truck. It was a functional truck.
Yeah.
It was the beginnings of things. And I mean, this is a whole nother story, but literally when we started the business, we had $300 in our checking account. And it was like, all right, well, what are our options? I'm like, well, you've always wanted to start a business. Let's do that now.
Yeah.
And so he took 200 of that $300 and went and got a business license.
Oh,
So it was I'm not exaggerating. It might have been $325, but it was in the 300 range, in the low 300 range. And that really was all we had, that and 2 children.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is scary.
Yeah. But anyway, and so when that truck was stolen, it was like, oh, what is going to happen? And talking to my husband about that time, it's like he said, I feel like there's a big black hole that's coming up behind me every step I take, and it's trying to suck me in.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty graphic visual. That's a good descriptor of that goo. Yeah.
Well, and the black hole, it's a good visual, because once you go in a black hole, that's the end of that.
Yeah.
You know, like you're done for.
Yeah.
So some might not feel like goo. If you're feeling like a black hole, you're not seeing any like butterfly in your future.
Right. Right.
Like there's not a lot of hope.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. You feel like you're just 2 steps out of
it is hard
the gravitational pull of that.
To keep hope when things are dark. I know that we say that so cavalierly, like, keep the faith, keep hope, hope is everything. You can read a million quotes on Pinterest, but it is difficult when you're going through something really tough to go, okay, is there anything in my future that I can look forward to? Because right now this isn't fun. It's a tough thing to try and keep hope. I think that meditation, prayer, and all that kind of stuff kind of plays a role in help.
Yeah, it's just hope, I think, is one of the most, like, love, hands down, the most powerful source, the most powerful influence, the most powerful source. It's love. I think hope is probably just step right by it.
Because that keeps us going.
Because you can have, if you're facing the hardest trial of your life and you have even just a pinprick of hope, you're going to hold on. If you're facing something that's not the biggest trial of your life, but you're just in a funk about it and you have no hope, then downward spiral big time. Because if you don't have hope, what's the point in trying? Yeah. There's just no reason. Yeah. And hope is what gives us a reason, even if it's the tiniest little shred of hope. Hope there's so much power in that. So much power in that. And remembering in the times of difficult, or when we're trying to launch that business, and what is going on here? Why is it taking me so long? We're trying to get that degree. Other people got this degree in 2 years. They got a master's in 2 years. Why is it taking me 10? Yeah. What's wrong with me that I can't do this? When we're in those times where it's just hard to keep holding on, when if you have a child that you're working with that's going through hard things, and it's like, okay, when am I going to figure this out? When is this going to get any easier? When am I going to be connected with the resources I need to support this child in the way they need to be supported? When we're in the midst of whatever that is, if we can just hang on to that hope, that little tiny bit of hope that there's something better ahead. Yeah, there's something. I was just in the grocery store recently, and the checker. He's like, how are you doing? I said, oh, I'm doing good. I said, how are you? And he goes, I'm doing good. And me being me, I didn't let that go. I said, well, that was super convincing. And he's like, yeah. And I didn't say anything. And so after a second, he's like, there's just a lot of drama going on in my life right now. And he didn't expound at all on what it was. But we talked for just a few, in the length of time it took him to pick up my groceries. And I said, I don't know what's going on, but one thing I can tell you is that you'll get through this. Yeah. There are better things ahead. However, it will work out somehow. However it works out, it may be difficult, but however it works out, there are better things ahead and you will get through this. And he was like, I didn't say much at first, but then just before he had finished checking, finished all the stuff and financial transaction. And I was getting ready to walk around to the end of the thing where, where my groceries were. And he's like, thanks for saying that. That's just not something you hear often.
I was like, sometimes strangers can give you the boost you need. I talked a couple of episodes ago about the person in the Kinko's when I was running off who grabbed it and was like, you're going to get this job. And I was like, sometimes strangers can give you that. Also, I think for hope too, it is important to surround yourself with people that
have that mindset.
That have that mindset, to have a perspective on you and your life, that, have a perspective in their own lives that they've been now able to get through. I think it's so important to have like good friends in those moments.
Yeah. Somebody outside your cocoon going, come on, little butterfly. This is what's happening.
Here's the heat lamp. Here's the heat lamp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important, I think. And then finding touchstones, prayer, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just gotta let God. Let go and let God. Let go and let God.
Remember who you are and whose you are.
Yeah. Ooh, see? Look at me quoting scripture. That's not. I don't think it is.
It's not, but it's good.
Yeah. Trying there.
So anyway, but it's just remembering that transformation can be a messy, messy business, and it can be discouraging, but it also, man, what it leads to. And as we make those steps, realizing that when we think we're done, it may not be when we're done with that transformation. Our wings may be wet and we may be vulnerable. And so also too, like you mentioned, recognizing when those around us who maybe they are the butterfly that's come out, but their wings aren't wet yet or aren't dry yet. And to be the one who's, helping them blow on their wings. And help work like, that's all right. You don't need to be flying yet. Your wings are still drying. You're good. You're good. So
yes, that they're still growing to do.
Yeah. Yep.
Good stuff.
So transformation. I was gonna say not always easy, but I don't know if it ever is easy. It doesn't sound
easy at all. No. Yeah, it's funny, that analogy too, because that isn't the analogy you usually hear. Usually you hear transformation. Look, you're a caterpillar, boring and ugly looking, and now you're a butterfly. There you go.
Yeah.
It's not first of all, that the caterpillar is lovely in and of itself, but you don't hear
it completely dissolves.
Which, by the way, is how it is in real life when you're listening to somebody, on a talk show who's like, yeah, this sucked. And I was, down to my last 3 cents in my, I didn't mean, but there have been people who are like, I've been down to my last 3 cents in my checking account. Or J.K. Rowling, I think, had some, she had major financial difficulties. And now look, I'm a billionaire.
Well, John Krasinski, the Jim.
Yeah.
Did you hear this story? Oh gosh, this is such a great story. He had told us, okay, I really think I want to go to New York and get this acting thing, a go. And I'm like, all right, but just promise me that after, I can't remember how long it was, 2 years or whatever. If nothing's happened, 2, 3, however long it was, if nothing's happened, that you'll come home and don't chase this forever and live, your life like that. And he's like, okay, no problem. Well, he was in New York and he was like, nothing really, and nothing was really happening. And it was like, I want to say like 2 or 3 months before it was like the drop dead. And he was like, I'm done. I'm tired of all this rejection. He called his mom and said, I'm coming home. And she's like, it might have been his dad. I think it was his mom. And they're like, just give it a couple more months, stay until the end of the time and take a wild guess what the next job he got was.
Yeah. The Office.
Jim on The Office. I mean, he was this close to just letting it all go.
And now he's making like movies and
he's married to Emily
Blunt. He's going to the Oscars and he hasn't gotten an Oscar, but he's going to the Oscars and you're like, but so we hear that and we hear that, but a lot of like struggle the detailed struggle went between here and there.
He's not on talk shows going, oh yeah, and then I went to this audition and they said no, and then I went to this audition and they said, well, come back, and then no, that callback didn't work, and then I got that show. And then it ran for 3 shows, and then the run was over. And then I had literally $1.23 in my bank account, and I had to call my parents and ask for money. We don't hear all that.
Yeah, endless amounts of rejection. What that feels like, endlessly. Yeah.
So, transformation is not for the faint of heart.
No,
but it is worth it.
Yes,
that is worth it.
Hopefully,
an important part of nourishing your body and your soul.
Yes. All right.
Have a great week. Bye. Hey, if you want to help us grow this podcast that we're having fun doing, like and subscribe.
And comment.
Oh, yes.
Please comment. We will comment back.
Yes, we will. Hey, it's Tracy. If this was helpful and you'd like more, follow me on Instagram at tlastel.nourishingbodyandsoul, or on Facebook or YouTube at Nourishing Body and Soul, or you can find my website at nourishingbodysoul.com. Thanks for tuning in to Nourishing Body and Soul, the podcast. Before we wrap up, we just want to remind you that the information we share in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not intended for medical advice. While we hope you find our discussions helpful, we strongly recommend that you seek the advice of a qualified healthcare provider before making any changes to your diet, exercise routine, or any other aspect of your health. We also want to make it clear that the host, guests, and producers of this podcast are not responsible for any adverse effects or consequences that may result from the use of any information or suggestion discussed in this podcast. We care about your well-being, but we can't take responsibility for individual outcomes. By listening to this podcast, you agree to indemnify and hold harmless the hosts, guests, and producers of this podcast from and against any and all claims, damages, liabilities, costs, and expenses arising from your use of the information provided in this podcast. We're so grateful for your support, and we hope you keep listening and learning with us. Thanks.